Hi folks, 2018 B1 here, and I've gone ahead and I've done up the setup, which was the plan view up here, and we had corner A here, spectator with 100 down, and what I did then was, as usual, to get the picture plane, bisect the two widest corner, or join the two widest corners to the spectator, bisect that angle, and the picture plane will always be at 90 degrees to that bisector. Now then, did my horizon line down here anywhere, but we were told the height was 10 meters of the spectator, which was 50 mil. So if you get 10 meters and it's on a scale of 1:200, so that's 200 divided into 10,000, strike off the two zeros, that's 2 into 100, so that leaves you with 50 mil, okay? And from there then, the only other thing I did was I dropped down A. So we know A has a true height because it's on the picture plane. That was a 5 meters, so that's 25 mil there when we scale that. So I'll drive on then with the question. First thing we'll do is connect both of these back to VP2. I can do the top of that one as well. Now any point we want, so I want to find out where that finishes. Join to spectator, we're across the picture plane. Drop it down there. Now I have to tape on 2 sheets as well just for this to fit. So just watch out for that. And the back, same thing, with that line already drawn from by finding the picture plane. Now the height there, we need to get that. Now you could work it out, okay, but you are asked to, it says use auxiliary vanishing points to determine the sloping lines on the surface B in perspective, okay? And so drawing a triangle, you usually need 2 different things, like the length of the base and the height, or a right angle triangle, or the length of the base and the angle. So they've given us in this question that they have given us the length of the base. So if we're looking straight down, and we're looking down on an edge view of this triangle here, and we know that's 100, so the length of the base was 100. Now, by the way, I'm drawing it on this line here, okay? So as I'm looking there, it's sloping upwards there, and it's sloping up there 20 degrees, that surface. This line is parallel to this guy, so I'm going to put it onto this VP1. Another thing to note is, as you are the spectator looking at that, it is sloping upwards and away from you. So it will go above the horizon line when we figure out that auxiliary vanishing point. So the other piece of information we're told this time is that it's going at 20 degrees. So we'll get a protractor there. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm just doing it for demo purposes. So that edge view there, that's this triangle, that's an edge view there in plan. We're looking at that triangle. And we know it's going up at 20 degrees. Now, we've got to take into account for the perspective, so we're going to blow that up. We're going to continue on that line there, where it hits the picture plane there. We're going to get this height. And now it's that height we're going to take, and I'm going to add it onto the vanishing point here. So we're just transferring that down to here. That'll be our AVP. So now we can run this guy up here. And we can do this piece in heavy. And we can finish that down to there. Now, another thing to note is we could have drawn a third vanishing point, but there's no need, because if I can draw this line and this line, for example, I can run this guy back over here, and I can just drop down this point to find it. So the next part we need then, I'm going to call it, we'll call it this corner here P. Okay, now if you use the slate technique that I talk about in school, so if you if you were roofing that in real life, you know, all the rows of slates of you coming up along the roof there will be all parallel to the edge. When you get up to here, you could run out a line of slates. The slates will stop there, run them out to the edge. And if we could find this point here, we'll call it X, then we can find that down here in our perspective. There's X in perspective, and now we can just run it back here. And when we drop down P now, he's going to be on that line there. So P to spectator, drop it down, and there's P located. And now we'll just get the other end of that surface. Now another thing I often say to students is you have so many lines in perspective. When you're drawing down a line like that, keep your pencil in place, line up your set square, and then drop it down. It saves you picking up the wrong line, which I see students happens a lot. And now we'll run this guy up here. Now to find out where he stops, we can just run this guy back here. That'll be a heavy line. This will be a heavy line. And the height of this guy is another thing we need to figure out, okay? And before I just come to that, I'm going to get this point here. I want to finish out that side's slope as well. So if I get this up here, join to spectator, line it up there, and drop it down. That's where it would be. We won't see all of that, of course. We'll see that much. Now, the height, to go back to this guy, we're told he's looking at the question there. He is 15 meters high, which would be 75 mil. So I'm going to just drop down a shoulder line for that. Take it down as far as here. Drop it down and we measure up 75 along that line there. And that'll give me the top there. In that corner. Now, the top of this building, if you want to call it that, is level. So this will go back here to VP1. Remember, all horizontal lines will go back to a vanishing point on the horizon line. This guy here will just be a vertical line up to meet that. If you want, you can drop it to the spectator and drop it down, but it'll get you the same point. That's that guy there. Now, that is the main part of the perspective done. Part B tells us a vertical chimney is located at position C up here. So we'll just draw that in. And he's, when we scale it, 25 mil out from here. So that's our chimney there. And it says it has a height of 20. Draw the chimney in the perspective view. Okay. So what I'm going to do there is we need to take into account, first of all, the height. So I'm going to drop it down to here. Then I'm going to drop it down. Just get my set squares there. Have the height of 20 meters. Scale that. It's 100 mil. And I need to drop down C as well itself. It's dropping down there and it's hitting that there. Now we know it's in line with the back here as well. And this is it here, coming down. That's it, starts there. And it's finishing there. So that is just a line representing our chimney there. Now, the very last thing that it's saying is determine the angle of elevation when viewing the top of the chimney from point S. Okay, so you're standing there at S, you've got your height, and the chimney has got its height, okay? So if you draw a straight line, and remember, I'll just sketch something here for a second quickly. If I draw a triangle there, and I call it, that's line 1, line 2, and line 3. When you're looking at a line down here, in plan, we're looking at a few different things. We're looking at the true length of line 3, we're looking at the sloping of line 2, and you're looking at point 1 as an edge view or a point, okay? So what we basically need to do is we're going to join that line. It's going to be like our set square there if you want to think about it like this, because the spectator is lower. The spectator is 50 mil of a height, he's 100 mil, and what we need to do is drop this down, okay? And we'll get the true height there, which is, or the angle, sorry, we'll get the angle, we'll get the height as well, but we'll get the angle is what they're after in this. So, just get my green pen. I join it straight to the chimney. Okay, now we know, as we said, he's a height of 50, he's a height of 100, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to subtract that. 50 from 100 will leave me at 50. If we do a line coming out here, 50 mil. That will get me the angle I'm after. Okay, so all you did was you had your triangle there and you just flopped it out on its side to see the angle, okay? And you'll also see all the true length. So we'll just measure that and see what it is. So I make it there to be 15 degrees, okay? So and that is that question, folks, finished. So I hope you found it useful, folks. Take care, stay safe, more videos to come.